You are watching 420 Central TV, Fridays at 4:20, hosted by Rory Taylor. On this week's episode, can cannabis really cure cancer? We're also going to be having some green news, a tribute to AKA. Stay tuned and keep in touch on all our social media handles and join the conversation.
Good afternoon, it's 420 Central Cannabis TV and the time is 4:20. Welcome to this week's edition. We've got a really nice lineup for you. We're going to have a look in on what the President had to say this past week, and we also want to pay a tribute to a giant that has fallen in the industry. Can cannabis really cure cancer? Patients are often left to their own devices when looking into cannabis and cancer. Given the lack of clinical evidence and stigma around the use of the plant as medicine, individuals who use cannabis-based medications often want to cure their cancer, not just reduce the symptoms that come with the conditions. So can cannabis cure cancer? The answer, a definite maybe. Important takeaway points on cannabis and cancer for all of us. Your situation is unique. Every single type of cancer is a unique disease specific to one person. Even if a cannabinoid has shown promise on one cancer line, that doesn't mean it'll work for all cancers. Even if it's within the same organ system, talk to your doctor before using cannabis to self-medicate. Work together to weigh the potential benefits and risks specific to your medical condition and track the progress of your cancer along with your cannabis regime. Use harm reduction techniques, for instance, dry herb vaporizers or edibles to reduce potential carcinogens and respiratory symptoms when smoking cannabis. Avoid smoking cannabis in combination with tobacco to avoid exposure to known carcinogens and nicotine. We should all advocate for the rescheduling of cannabis to improve access to cannabis for research purposes and scientific funding for novel cannabinoid-based cancer therapies. While we often use the term cancer to describe one disease, in reality there are hundreds of different types of cancer, ranging from skin cancer to brain cancer and beyond. Though each type of cancer is unique, all cancers start with abnormal, rapid and uncontrollable growth of cells. Unlike healthy cells, these abnormal cells don't die as they're typically programmed to do, and instead they begin to grow and divide uncontrollably, effectively circumventing the body's normal checks and balances. In certain types of cancer, these abnormal cells clump together to form a tumor. Tumors can be benign, meaning that they're non-cancerous, or they can be metastatic, meaning that they are cancerous and can easily spread throughout the rest of the body. Other cancers can develop and never form a tumor, like blood cancer, leukemia, a common type of cancer that's found sadly in children. How do we currently treat cancer? Cancer targets the cells that are dividing uncontrollably while avoiding damage to the non-cancerous cells. This can be very challenging since cancer cells share the same space and DNA as the rest of the healthy cells surrounding them. There are four main types of cancer therapy. Surgery to remove the cancerous tissue from the body where it's possible. Radiation therapy, which involves exposing the tumor to high doses of radiation. Chemotherapy, which involves using drugs to kill the fast-growing cancer cells and stop their growth. And then immunotherapies, which involve training the immune system to identify, attack and destroy these cancer cells. So despite substantial progress in recent years, safe and effective treatments that will help to improve cancer outcomes, improve quality of life and reduce the suffering of cancer patients are sorely needed. Can cannabis fill this void? We've got a little clip for you to watch and we'll chat to you a little bit on the other side of that.
A new study has examined that marijuana can kill cancer cells and even shrink brain tumors. The study by the National Institute of Drug Abuse (NIDA), funded by the US government, showed extracts from the plant can help enhance the impact of radiation therapy, the Mirror reported. According to the reports, recent animal studies have shown that marijuana can kill certain cancer cells and reduce the size of others, and evidence from one animal study suggested that extracts from whole plant marijuana can shrink one of the most serious types of brain tumors. Research in mice showed that these extracts, when used with radiation, increase the cancer-killing effects of the radiation.
So as you can see, the jury is still very much out, and that there isn't a one-size-fits-all or a magic fix. And I think it's important for us in the cannabis industry to respect this. So often you'll have people coming along saying, hey, I've got an aunt or an uncle or someone who's suffering from cancer, and even worse than that, they're dying from cancer. And people are all too quick to hand out a bottle of CBD oil, and you're giving people expectation that we shouldn't be giving. That's something that needs to be coming from a proper doctor, or from a person that's able to understand what type of cancer the person's suffering with. So be responsible going forward from here, and make sure that you understand the risks that you're taking by just handing on a bottle of CBD oil that's got this magic fix. Take care of the people around us, take care of our industry, and make sure that you advise people as best you can to the limits that you're able to advise.
I do what I want, I do what I like, I know what face, I no fear nobody, nobody. I do what I want, I do what I like, I know what face, I no fear nobody.
So this week we caught up with Cyril Ramaphosa. Just kidding. We caught up with what was said on the news, and this is not something that's been said just this week. He's spoken about it before, and I think that that's given a lot of us promise and enthusiasm. And let's take a look at the clip, and we'll chat a bit on the other side.
The effect of the judgment of this court is to decriminalize A, the use or possession of cannabis by an adult in private for that adult person's consumption in private. In the case of cultivation of cannabis, the effect of this judgment is to decriminalize the cultivation of cannabis by an adult in a private place for that adult's personal consumption in private.
Now, this natural product, which our people have been farming with and harvesting for a number of purposes, is now going to be industrialized and no longer just being resorted to the smoke process. Last year we committed to unlocking investment in the hemp and cannabis sector. We are moving to create the enabling conditions for this sector to grow. Now, this is an organic sector that our mothers and fathers, grandparents have been involved in many parts of the country. The Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, and the Department of Health will address existing conditions for the cultivation of hemp and cannabis to allow outdoor cultivation and collection of harvests from traditional farmers. Now, this will unlock enormous economic energy in the rural areas of our country, especially in the Eastern Cape, in KwaZulu-Natal and in Mpumalanga, where they've been growing this stuff over many, many years. And this stuff that has supported many children to go to school and university. And you know what stuff I'm talking about. Now, urgent work is being finalized by government to create an enabling environment framework for a whole plant, all legitimate purposes so that we can have complementarity with regard to medicines, food, cosmetics, industrial products, and aligned to international conventions and best practices. This includes the reprioritization of the departmental budgets for sector development and support for traditional black farmers and the alignment of the South African Police Service enforcement with the regulatory reforms. A growing economy must also be an increasingly inclusive economy. The inaugural Black Industrialist Conference in July of last year showed the successes of black South Africans in producing food, manufacturing that.
So, going as far back as hearing Judge Zondo give his ruling in 2018 to hearing the President more than once in Parliament mention the fact that we're going ahead with cannabis. We've heard the local previous Premier David Makura talk about Gauteng becoming the hub for cannabis. It's time for this stuff to start happening, you know, and it's interesting that the President refers to it kind of naively as the stuff. So there's this excitement around the financial opportunity, but you can see right up to the top order there's not a clear understanding of the benefits that are being lost, the value that are being lost, both from the early conversation from a medicinal benefit to the absolute value from an employment point of view and starting to create jobs on the ground. So I think that all of us need to carry this journey on, help to continue doing the self-regulating that we're doing, make sure that you have a conscience when it comes to how you're dealing with cannabis and all the people that are your customers, your club members, and let's take this thing further as quickly as we possibly can. The time is now. So at this time in the show, we move on to something that's a little bit hard and heartfelt. It's a bit of a sad moment for us within the industry. Not too many months ago, we sat around and we got the opportunity to chat with AKA, and it's a sincere loss, and we pass our condolences on to friends, family, and everyone who knew and admired or adored the work that AKA did within the country and for the country. But more specifically, he stood up. He was one of the people within the arts and a leader in this country that was prepared to put his hand up and say it's time for cannabis to have its moment and to be freed, and that it's not the demon that people perceive it to be. So we went back and we captured a little bit of the footage, and we just want to run this in respect to all South Africans and to everybody that knew him.
Police in KwaZulu-Natal are yet to make an arrest in connection with the murder of Keenan aka Forbes.
What's up, everybody? We're out here at the Greenside in Sandton. Obviously, we're chilling here with Betsy. I'm with Myron. Make sure you come through. We're having the collab launch today.
Yeah. Amazing grace, I praise the Lord. Versace store, the world is yours. Munati so.
Are you guys rolling, yeah?
One place down there.
For me, it's quite simple. You know, myself, I've been a musician for a long time, for the better part of 15, maybe 20 years. And obviously, music and cannabis have always gone hand in hand. But there's much more to cannabis than just smoking cannabis. There is a whole other side of it, a wellness side, a lifestyle side, an alternative medicine side. There are so many ways that the plant, which I believe is a gift from God, can help us through this journey and through this mission we call life, and give us better and healthier alternative options. That's the first thing that really appeals to me. The second thing is also there's so much knowledge to be consumed around the industry, especially in our own country, especially in trying to set things up, especially in terms of the legalities. Right now, nobody really knows what exactly are the laws. And I think it's my position as a leader in my community, a leader of young people, to come to people like Myron and to get the knowledge and to integrate younger people and people who want to know more about the industry and about cannabis and about wellness in general, and to present them with those options so that they can make their own minds up for themselves. Besides just that, I think there has to be an equity of the people, of the youth culture in cannabis and in wellness. And I think that's why this is such a great partnership. You know, I also believe that we need to make people understand that the whole stoner, like people are lazy and stigma and all of that stuff, we need to clean that shit up, because we need to let people know it's young professionals, it's upwardly mobile people, it's lawyers, it's accountants, it's designers, it's musicians, it's architects. You know, those are the people that have been using the benefits of cannabis for a long time, and now it is time for us to bring that to the fore. And what better way to bring that to the fore than to use a public figure like myself, who also has a general interest and is a general user of the plant in its many uses. I think it's about people needing to come out of the shadows. So really, that's what it is. I think you know, I've always been a forward thinker. I've always been a leader, and leaders sometimes they get onto things before everybody else catches up. I think that a lot of people want to engage with it, but because of stigma, because of, look, for me as a musician, I'm a hip hop musician. I have that bit more lane than other people do. But it's the same in terms of professions. You know, if we talk about accountants or professionals, they need to come out of the shadows. They need to come and see this beautiful place that Myron and his team have set up over many years.
Trophy on, we the champions, 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 champions. Always knew you'd be on top again. Super mega, he on top again.
So thanks for spending time with us again this week. We appreciate having you on board. Remember to subscribe and like the channel. It helps us to move ourselves forward. And as normal, make sure you've got enough cannabis to see you through the weekend, keep you comfortable for the week, and we look forward to catching up with you again this time next week. Ciao for now.
I do what I want, I do what I like. I know what face, I no fear nobody. Nobody. I do what I want, I do what I like. I know what face, I no fear